well. It would be great if you could all let us know your background, what you're currently doing, your names as well. So we can see a lot of members join in. Okay. Junior Scrum Master. Great. So we have a lot of people in the same profession join us. We hope you have a wonderful experience with us. Hi, Louis. Hi, Ashley. So project manager, healthcare administrator, and CSM. Wow, we've got a lot of people joining in actually. Hi, Angela. Thanks for joining in, everyone. We will start the webinar in one more minute. We'll just wait for a few more members to join in and we will quickly start the webinar. Hello, hope you all are having a good evening and we hope to add more value to you all through this webinar. Hi, Michael. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Lena. So I am also waiting for our speakers to join in. Just give me a moment. And keep the introductions coming. We love hearing from you. Just waiting for our speakers to join in. Just
yeah, it's not working. Same old
and keep the introductions coming. We love hearing from you.
No, we're late.
Okay, as please keep your introductions coming. Just a second. I'll be back.
Not sure if we do that.
Okay, so thank you all. So I will quickly start the webinar right now.
See it right in the corner next to leave. Don't click on leave. Click on enter webinar.
Okay, so now we've got our panelists join us as well. So I'll quickly share my screen and start today's session. Just give me a moment. Okay. I hope my screen is visible to everyone here.
Yep.
Oh,
Looks good here.
All right. So once again, thank you all for joining us today. It's really wonderful to have you all. As you all know, today's webinar is on a day in the life of Scrum Masters, live demo of Scrum ceremonies. So I won't take much of your time and I'll quickly tell you the agenda for today's session. So we'll start with talking about Scrum methodology and why Scrum Masters play such a key role in today's project management space. We will talk about the Scrum framework as well. We will also walk through different Scrum ceremonies and their importance in keeping projects on track. And also the highlight of today's session, you will get to experience a live demo of Scrum ceremonies with our expert trainers. So you can see exactly how they work in practice. We'll also discuss career opportunities, certifications, and how you can take your next step towards becoming a Scrum Master. And finally, we will also have a Q&A session where you can get all of your questions answered by Bryan and also our experts in this webinar. So this is going to be a really engaging, informative, and fun session. So we are really excited to dive in. So before we begin, just a few quick ground rules to make sure that today's session runs smoothly. If you have any questions, please drop them in the Q&A box. We will be addressing your questions towards the end of the webinar. We do not want to disrupt the flow. That's the only reason why. You can feel free to use the chat to share your thoughts and experiences, but let's keep it focused on the session. And finally, please try to stay with us till the end of today's webinar. We will be sharing a form so you can get your program webinar participation certificates towards the end of the session. Before we begin, we would also love to know if any of you have attended Scrum or Agile sessions with us before. If you have, you can let us know in the chat. Type a yes if you have, and if it's your first time, you can let us know that as well. Okay, so you haven't. A lot of members have not. So we really hope this is a really engaging and informative session for all of you. Before we begin, I'll just quickly tell you about Simplilearn and what we offer. Simplilearn has helped over 8 million professionals across 150 plus countries advance their careers. And we have a lot of programs in partnership with more than 50 top universities and also global organizations. So our focus is pretty simple. We want to give our learners hands-on job-ready skills that will help them succeed in today's landscape, right? To introduce our speaker for today, who is Bryan Campbell. So Bryan actually brings a wealth of experience in Agile program and also project management. And over the years, he's led transformations across industries, and he's helped a lot of teams adopt lean and agile practices. So he's also a PMI trainer, and he has a lot of certifications, including PGMP, PMP, and PMI ACP. So, but more than all of these things that I just mentioned, what really stands out is his passion for mentoring project and product managers, and also for helping organizations complete their projects with great potential. So, Bryan, it's really great to have you here with us today. And I think it would be great if you can share a bit about your journey and also what excites you most about working with Scrum and Agile.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for the warm welcome. It's great to be here and exciting to see so many people from around the world joining us tonight. This is a little different session. Usually these are a little earlier in the day, so it's kind of fun to do this and hopefully get a different cross section of participants joining. I'm not sure I can add much more to what you just shared with that glowing introduction, but what makes this session very exciting from my perspective in particular is that I've got a group of colleagues who very generously offered to help us role play. They are all equal in skills and experience to myself with deep backgrounds in both agile coaching, agile practices, as well as project management. They've worked in some of the largest companies in the world, lots of hands-on practical experience. So this is an area you have some questions about. You've got a fantastic group to post a few questions, and we're just excited to kind of share what we have to offer.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Thank you for that introduction. And I was just about to introduce the team. So, like Bryan mentioned, we also have his team join us today. And they, like he clearly mentioned, they have been working in organizations and help them adopt agile practices. They're experienced agile coaches as well. So I'm really delighted to introduce them and also welcome them to today's webinar. So joining us is Rob, Sudev, Vasudevan, and Trey also. So thank you all for joining in. If you would like to say anything to our audience, that would be great as well.
Hi, everyone. It's Trey Quintero. It's wonderful to meet you. I've had about 29 years of experience in IT, and I've been working in the Agile space since 2010. This is really wonderful to meet everyone. Thank you.
I am Rob Karstens. I'm an Agile coach and trainer. I've been doing project management and software development for over 25 years. The last 15 years focused specifically on Agile and Agile coaching, Agile training, and as Bryan mentioned, worked with some of the largest companies in the world, from oil and gas companies like Chevron and ExxonMobil to tech companies like Dell EMC, StubHub, Symantec, just some of those in Silicon Valley.
Excellent. So last but not the least, my name is Sudev Vasudevan. Been in the IT industry for about 18, 19 years, primarily in the oil and gas software development division. Started my journey about 12, 14 years back, and started out with project management, program management, Scrum Mastering, etc., etc. I've been very closely working with Bryan Campbell and Trey Quintero put together. Looking forward to helping all of you. So, got to start somewhere. So, welcome to the
There
session.
you go.
Thank you
And
all for
just real quick too, you might notice there's Chris Benjamin listed here. He was also going to join us. Unfortunately, he just had some event come up that prevented him joining today. So we're gonna adapt, which is a good agile practice. And so we won't have Chris role playing in today's session. So we'll kind of work around that a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. So, those were wonderful introductions by everyone, and I'm sure that everyone in the webinar is looking forward to hearing more from all of you. So, I would not take much of your time. Before we begin, I think we should also take a step back and talk about the basics first. So, Brian, could you start off by explaining what Scrum actually is, and why it is such an important framework in Agile project management?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple reasons that Agile and Scrum in particular have been widely embraced across the world and across industries. The first is that it places a heavy emphasis on collaboration and interaction. So at the end of the day, projects get delivered by people, products get created by people. So finding ways in which we can get people to work together, to interact, collaborate is going to ultimately allow organizations to deliver products and projects successfully. Places a lot of emphasis on empiricism. So that's really just looking at data and looking at, examples that have worked and learning from those. You'll see that there's a focus on transparency. So a big element of Agile, of Scrum is just letting everyone know what's going on all the time. Lots of transparency. And that this partner of inspect and adapt. So we want to constantly be looking at how things are working and then making adjustments based on feedback we're getting from stakeholders or just things that we're learning as we perform work. Now, one of the hallmarks of Scrum in particular, Agile in general, is they work with this idea of a time box sprint. So that's just a fixed duration that's consistently applied across your delivery life cycle. So for many organizations, this tends to be about 2 weeks in duration. So every 2 weeks, you're focused on delivering something of value. It doesn't have to be. Sometimes you can have 1 week or even up to 4 weeks. But one of the things Agile will emphasize is trying to reduce that duration so you can deliver value more quickly and get more feedback as a result. We're going to look at the structure of Scrum in a moment, but it's really defined by 3 roles. So not that many to remember. We're going to look at the 3 roles. In fact, we're going to act them out shortly. 3 artifacts or sort of documents, and then 5 events and ceremonies. So we'll dig into those a little bit. And really important concept in Agile, in Scrum, is this idea of continuous improvement. So a big focus is on finding ways in which we can get feedback from our customers, from our team, from our stakeholders, and use that to continuously improve. So these are sort of the hallmarks. I know a number of you have Scrum backgrounds already. You're starting off your Scrum Master careers. It's very exciting for others that are perhaps just learning about this. These are going to be topics that you'll spend a fair amount of time on in your training. And then if you move on to get a certification, these are the areas that will probably be tested on your exam.
Right. That was a very clear explanation of Scrum and why it matters. So, you also spoke about sprints. So, I think it's the right time to talk about the Scrum framework. So, Brian, if you could help us understand that as well.
Yeah. So one of the things that makes Scrum and Agile in general very appealing to organizations is it's very lightweight. So you heard that many of us have our project management certifications. And if you decide to take that path, you're going to reference what's called a PMBOK, the project management body of knowledge. That is about 1,000 pages long. It's like a really big phone book of information, an encyclopedia, really. In contrast, the Scrum framework, the Scrum guide that Scrum references, is only 13 pages long. So it's much more accessible, both for people trying to leverage it, organizations trying to roll it out. So that's a big reason it's gotten so popular in industries and organizations. So we mentioned there's 3 roles, and the 3 roles are the product owner, the team, the development team, the team people doing the work, and this role called a Scrum Master, which we're going to kind of see in action shortly. Now, we talked a bit about the sprints. So the sprints are those fixed duration, anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks. Like I mentioned, a lot of times organizations tend to center on 2 week durations. There are 5 ceremonies. Those are the green colored items there. So the first ceremony is backlog refinement. And you see that role of the product owner. The product owner is going to be responsible for what's called a product backlog. That backlog is just all the things we want the product to have to kind of showcase. So as a product owner, your job is to kind of maintain that backlog through a series of refinement activities. So you want to keep it fresh and current and reflective of what your customers want. And then the team gets together and they look at that backlog and they ask some questions about, okay, of the things that we see in the backlog, what are the things that we have the capacity, the skills, the readiness to complete in this upcoming sprint? So the team takes work from the product backlog and they put it into their sprint backlog. And that backlog is what the team is going to commit to delivering in that 2 week period so they can deliver something of value to a customer. And once we've kind of got our planning underway and we feel confident we've got a good sprint backlog, the team checks in with themselves every day in what's called the daily stand-up. So that's a short 15-minute meeting. Just do a round table on how things are progressing against the commitments that we made, and if there's any issues, any roadblocks preventing us from getting that work completed. Then finally, when the sprint is all done, we do a review. So we show the completed work to our stakeholders, and that's a chance to get their feedback and confirm that this is what they asked for. And if we can, we'll release that. And then once we finish the review, the team and only the team gets together and they just reflect on retrospectives. So they just think about, okay, what are things we could do differently? How can we improve going forward? And then we take those learnings and we apply it to the very next sprint. So we just cycle through this again and again and again. And the whole focus is on creating something of value, some completed work that we can release into production. And I see as we're chatting, someone asked a question, is refinement a ceremony? That's always a tricky one. There are 4 formal ceremonies you kind of set up on a regular basis: planning, the daily stand-ups, review, retros. And then the backlog refinement is indeed a ceremony. So if you're going to get your certification, you do need to be familiar with that. But it's something that you've got some flexibility on how frequently it occurs, how you should organize your backlog refinement activities. But it's definitely something we don't want to lose sight of because we want to make sure our product backlog is reflective of our priorities and the value we can deliver to our customers.
Right. Thank you for that, Brian. We actually have one more question, and it is, are there any differences between Scrum, stand-ups, and daily huddles? It was in the Q&A.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So think of Scrum as sort of the whole package. Okay, that's all the things that you see on this page. Now, sometimes we'll also hear the term that daily stand-up is also called the Scrum. And the team gets together and they kind of scrum. It's actually a little bit of a rugby reference if you're familiar with rugby. And so the team gets together and they kind of interlock and they kind of push around trying to get the rugby ball out. And the daily huddle would also be the same. So I think the person might be asking, are these all the same? And yes, you will absolutely come across, sort of these terms used in slightly different ways. But generally speaking, those should all be looking at that 15-minute daily stand-up scrum huddle that you see there.
Right. I think that clearly answered his question. So before we move further, like you mentioned, Scrum and Agile frameworks are being adopted by many industries as well. And it's also one of the most in-demand roles right now. So Brian, could you help us understand why Scrum Masters matter so much right now and what makes this role critical in modern teams, especially?
Yeah, that's a great question. And a big reason for this, as I mentioned earlier, building out products and delivering projects all center around people. Scrum Masters are really there to kind of help people organize themselves, deal with any issues or blockers that are from getting work performed. They can play back information to the team on their team performance, how quickly they're getting work done and where there might be areas that need some additional attention. So the Scrum Master has a really, really instrumental role in sort of helping these teams be as effective as they possibly can. Now, one thing just to be aware of, though, this doesn't mean there's a hierarchy. It doesn't mean that the Scrum Master is sort of the boss of the team. Really, what the Scrum Master wants to be is a servant leader. kind of reaching out to the team, finding ways to enable the team. So it's a sort of interesting shift from those of you that might have more of a formal project management background. And there's a little different sort of perspective in that setting. Usually the project manager is sort of driving that project forward, where Scrum puts a lot more emphasis on enabling the entire team to get that work done. And as you can see, 90% of organizations are using Agile in some form. That's the version 1 State of Agile report. And all of us, Rob, Sadev, Trey, myself, we spend a great deal of time with organizations interested in either bringing Agile into their organization or elevating their Agile practices. As you heard Rob describe, I mean, it's a wide range of industries, right? He was talking about, hey, everything from oil and gas to high tech. I've done a lot of work with financial services and healthcare. So many industries organizations are looking to Agile practices as a way to accelerate their value delivery. Scrum is easily the most popular of all the Agile frameworks that are used out there. Over 70% of all Agile teams are using Scrum or some version of Scrum. And as a consequence, there's tons of demand for people that are Scrum Masters. So this is a great place to get introduced to Agile, start working with teams, and lots of exciting career opportunities that emerge once you've got some experience in this space.
Yes, absolutely. That actually really highlights why Scrum Masters is so valuable today, right? And like you pointed out, they're not just facilitators, but enablers of probably collaboration and continuous improvement, like you said. So before we move into the most exciting part of today's webinar, we actually want to get your responses, and we want to make this an interactive session as well. So I will be quickly launching a poll for all of you. Share your thoughts. So the question we have is, how does Scrum enable teams to deliver value faster? So we would really love to know your thoughts on this before we go ahead and proceed. Okay, if you can quickly share your responses in the poll. Okay, so we have a lot of responses coming in. So most of them say that it's checking in on progress and removing blockers. Is how Scrum enables teams to deliver
Okay.
value faster. And
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I mean,
yeah,
I might
so
have almost said an all of the above. They all seem like they'd be pretty helpful to deliver value. But yeah, that's great.
that's really nice. Thank you all for sharing your responses. So now we've actually come to the part you've all been waiting for. And Bryan and the team are going to take us through Scrum ceremonies and starting with sprint planning. So with that, Bryan, I'd love to hand it over to you and also to the team.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, thanks. And quick disclaimer, none of us are professional actors, so do bear that in mind as we work through this. But we want to give you a little flavor of what these ceremonies look like, kind of in action. So first off, we have to ground ourselves a little bit on the product. So our product is called Quick Eats. Its focus, its vision is delivering hot, affordable meals to college students in under 15 minutes. So we make campus dining faster, simpler, more convenient. What are some things that we've seen that we feel the students would really benefit from this? Well, oftentimes they have limited time between classes and their activities, so they're on the go. They've got very, tight schedules that require them to be in certain places at specific times. So finding time to get their food and get the necessary energy to get through their classes can be a challenge. A lot of the existing delivery options are slow, they're expensive, and they don't integrate with student meal plans that many of them have. And also on-campus food lines are long and often don't have a lot of good, healthy meal options or timely options because a lot of students are kind of working in hours that don't always align with standard sort of breakfast, lunch, dinner time frame. So we think our product, Quick Eats, is going to revolutionize this space, and I'm really excited to get started on it. So let's go. And I'll probably need you to drive. There we go. Okay, so what are we going to start with? Well, remember when we looked at the Scrum framework, one of the first, perhaps one of the more important ceremonies is your sprint planning. This is when the team comes together and they get to decide what they can commit to and deliver in that 2-week period. So my role is going to be the product owner. So my job is to provide that backlog. And the backlog should always be prioritized with the most important things at the top of that list. And that's all it is. It's really just a long list of things that we want to get done. And to help us a little bit with that, Agile is going to leverage a lightweight, simple format to capture information about work items. And it's usually in the form of, as a role, as a person, I want to do something so I can get some result, some outcome. So very lightweight. The whole idea is kind of understand who it's for, what it is they're trying to do, and why that's important to them. And that simple format is going to help us both prioritize our work, so we can put the most important, most valuable items at the top of that list, but also create a place for us to have some discussions, some conversations, and how should we solve this problem. So we're going to join the team in the sprint backlog session, and let's see how we go. Wonderful. All right, so we've got this product backlog. And I've taken the time to craft this, gang, so I'm really excited to kind of share this with you. You can see I've got a whole bunch of things that I've identified here, and we've got this upcoming sprint where we want to get some of this work done. And where would you guys like to get started? And I guess maybe Rob,
Well,
Scrum Master, what do you
yeah, go
think?
ahead, Rob.
Yeah, no, that really does help set the context. So we're going to work in 2-week sprints, right, and figure out how much we're going to complete. We've got our product backlog here. So let's talk about what we need to complete in order to get something ordered.
Yeah, great idea.
All right, so Brian, I'm thinking they may have to log in. So a login ID is required, and I'm fairly certain that we can use the campus ID as reference,
Right.
to pull a lot of ancillary information. I'm fairly certain that there is a web service available out there that can pull in, say, their name, their phone number, their address, etc., just
Mm.
using the campus ID put together.
Yeah,
So
love
just
that.
putting it
That's
out
a
there. Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, love that direction. And yeah, time to campus ID makes a lot of sense because meal plans are going to be associated with that. So yeah, it seems like a good place to start. Absolutely.
And I think also, Brian, you probably need to figure out how to get the meals in the cart and
Right.
to kind of get them and really just kind of think about how they're going to pay in order to make this order complete. And I think that's probably a good way to kind of think about it in terms of kind of the flow of how we need to do this.
Yep. Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely right. They're gonna order their meals, and we got to give them the pay. I like where you're going with that, and it feels like that's going
Yeah,
to kind of
that's what's
unlock some
right.
value. Yeah. Love it. Okay. Um, yeah, I like that. Okay. And what do we think about payment? I mean, any thoughts there, Trey? I mean, I know you got some background in that space.
Yeah, I think from a payment perspective, there's going to be a credit card kind of route that we take with
Hmm.
basically you can use your phone, you can perhaps use your credit card, you can tap, but at the end of the day, there's going to be a transaction. That transaction is also going to need a bit of security around it in terms of how you would secure that transaction with the bank. And so
Yep.
those are some ideas that we would have to kind of
Mhm.
make that make that work.
Awesome. Yeah. So it feels like this is kind of the full life cycle, right? People are going to log in, they're going to identify some meals they want, add them to a cart, pay, get some confirmation. Boom. They've got a hot meal in their way.
100%.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like things like, delivery tracking and ratings, etc., might be things we can wait for future sprints, but it feels like this is a good foundation to build on.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
perfect.
All right. So is this look reasonable, guys? Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think this is perfect. So delivery tracking and ratings can wait until later. And it sounds like the goal for the sprint is, let's get food to the students.
Need those students. All right.
Mhm.
Now, any chance we can squeeze some other things in there, guys? What do you think?
So
Yeah.
I'm just putting it out there, but I think I may want to start digging into the student ID API.
Hmm.
Agreed. Yeah,
All said and done, I think it may be the most complicated piece of work that may be associated with this platform. So
Gotcha. Okay.
And I think we might want to leverage, from the campus ID, there may not be a greenfield type of solution, but we may want to leverage a solution that's available within the school to be able to pull back in and provide those IDs. And I think, at some point you're probably going to want to validate that ID in some way. That would be through perhaps that school system. But
Right.
at the end of the day, that campus ID needs to be tied to some form of payment, some
Yeah.
way to kind of, yeah.
And also from a payment perspective, there's a lot of third-party payment processing vendors that we could partner up with, which would directly interact with whichever bank that we end up being with. That way, that processing is faster and seamless. So that is
That's
another
right,
web
'cause
service that may be out there, right? So
in that security piece around that transaction that I was talking about before.
Yeah. No, security is going to be important. Absolutely. We can't lose sight of that.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
And then
So let's
really go ahead. Sorry, Rob. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna kind of I thought we were kind of wrapping up here, so I was gonna kind of take us to kind of our next step, which is, well, what do we want to focus on? What do we think we can actually complete in this sprint? What do you guys think?
I think it's actually just foundationally, it's an MVP. It's like a kind of a minimal viable product in terms of how we want to carve out the initial transaction, how we want to carve out the order. And I think we start off with the campus ID. We need to understand who it is that who is ordering. And that might be tied to an address, that might be tied to a form of payment, that type of thing, what they're ordering. And then really just kind of take it through to the place where we actually get a meal to them. I think that would be our first kind of tranche of work that we do. And then we would try to figure out what's working, what's not working, and then track that in some sort of a backlog to be able to kind of understand what we might do to improve that process, kind of inspect and adapt in that way.
Yeah. All right.
Good.
So is that it? Are we committing to this?
Here. So what do you think, guys? Ready to do a fist of 5?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
All right. So okay, so just to recap here. So a fist of 5, we're going to do is we're going to use our fingers. A 1 is low confidence, 5 is high confidence. And then of course, anything in between, we really want to focus on trying to get as high a confidence as possible. So we're really kind of looking to ensure that we've got a high level of confidence that we can commit to the sprint goal. So we're really kind of looking for 4s and 5s, but we need everybody to kind of be honest and give us their honest feedback about whether they can we feel like we can actually meet this goal. All right. So you guys ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
How many fingers you hold up there? Trey, is that 5?
Trey's got
4.
5.
It's a 4.
Sudev's got 4. So we've got
I got
a
5.
fairly high level of confidence. Oh, Sudev's got a 5. So we've got
a
fairly
5,
high
man.
level of confidence.
I think my 4 is around really, we've got a really large, ambiguous login with campus ID. So it's going to really be, what do we really need to have from that in order to drive this kind of like value chain, so that what's the minimum amount of data that we capture, and then how are we going to capture that in order to get the meal out? Is there risk involved in terms of kind of what we do? And I'm not sure if we get this MVP, then that would be great to make sure that we have this flow of getting the meal out to the student. But I think with the campus ID, there's maybe an epic, maybe something that you may need to decompose a little bit in order to understand a little bit better. So my answer is a 4, and maybe we decompose that, might be a 5 in terms of kind of what we kind of set for the sprint backlog.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So Rob, based on what Trey just said, I may have to change my confidence level a little bit. So I would put it at 3. The reason for that
Okay.
is, apart from the fact that Trey highlighted that it is complicated, I just realized that we may have to interact with a subscription-based service to
Mm,
basically acquire the campus ID reference web service that runs in the background. So I don't know personally how long that subscription would take, or how long it would take for us to get it based on negotiation and stuff like that. So I'm going to put it a 3, along with the complication that that Trey just highlighted. So mine is a 3
mm.
at this point in time.
Okay.
Okay.
And
So
I can help a little
there's
bit with
some
that.
risk for the unknown.
There's
Yes.
Yeah, and I think a couple things just bring to attention. There's some good news. Josh, who works in our system engineering area, he built one of these API calls to Campus Ideas, so we should tap into him early and see if we
Hmm.
can see what he learned. Maybe that'll help us out a bit. So yeah, happy to get you
Perfect.
guys connected with him. All right,
Okay.
what do we think?
Feeling
Good.
good, feeling much
All
better
right.
about the discussion, and really kind of digging into, really feeling good about the ability for me to communicate and be able to express those ideas, and kind of pull that out of it discussion, because as developers we're going to be on the hook for that. So yeah, we got to make
That's
sure that
right.
we're
Amazing.
This is
on the line.
your commitment. Exactly. Awesome.
So Sudev, is there anything the team can do in terms of scope or to help get more clarity to kind of get you from a 3 to a 4?
Absolutely. So, Brian just mentioned that he knows, who do you know? James from procurement?
Josh. Yeah, you might remember
Josh.
Josh, big
Yeah.
beard, very tall guy.
Oh, yeah, drinks a lot of beer for sure. Yeah, that
There you
Josh.
go.
So, yeah, absolutely. So, Brian, if you can, introduce me to him, I will work in the shadows, try seeing what sort of code he's written to facilitate, campus ID referencing, and let me uh, give me a day or two to actually evaluate it, run that by possibly Trey and Rob put together, and evaluate how easy that is. At this time, I'll give it a 3 out of 5, but I just need more information. And Rob, the sooner I get that information, the faster my confidence level can either go up or go down. So
Okay.
just
Okay.
putting
Let
it
me
out
know if
there.
there's anything I can do to help you, Sudev.
There's another one as
I,
well, right? So checking out using credit card payment softwares. Now, I believe our procurement division actually onboarded a third-party software about 8 months ago. Brian, with your permission, you're the product owner, so to speak. With your permission, I would like to sort of review that software as well and see if we can, not necessarily reinvent the wheel, and possibly onboard that particular software for this
Love
particular
that.
platform.
Yeah.
Just putting it out there,
I,
you know.
I think this is really, in my opinion, we want to fail forward and often.
Mm,
And we want to make sure that if we have something available, let's use it to see if we're meeting the expectation of our end users, and make sure that our sprint is able to increment and improve over time. And I think if we use something that's there, Sudev, I think that's going to be very helpful to kind of
Absolutely.
prove it out. Yeah,
Makes sense.
All right, guys, do we have a plan?
We do.
we
All
do.
right.
Excellent.
Awesome. Back to you, Brian.
all right. So that is our sprint planning. So a couple things you quite have noticed there. The team was very engaged, right? Asking a lot of probing questions, aligning on their confidence to get the work done. You heard how Rob, as a Scrum Master, was checking in, just saying, "How do we feel?" And he had some really interesting questions, right? So Deb, you're at a 3. What can we do to kind of get that to a 4 or even higher? So I love that. Loved how Trey was sharing examples. Hey, we got some other integration tools we could leverage for the payment processing. So that's the whole intent of the planning activities. Bring people together, have discussions. Now, notice a few things we weren't doing. We weren't in front of the big complex tool tracking all this information, right? It was very collegial, very casual, we're just having discussions and conversations. So that's a big part of Agile. We put more emphasis on people than we do on tools and heavyweight processes. All right, so with that, now that we've got a plan and we finish with planning, the sprint is going to begin. And remember, we talked about this idea of checking in on our progress. And we had that one question on, oh, what is that called? Well, it's a scrum or the daily stand-up, or if you want to call it your daily huddle, that's fine. But what's really important is you're creating space for the team to come together and just share how they're progressing. And what you really want to be on the lookout for is anything is preventing you from getting your commitments completed. Because remember, the team just stacked hand and said, yep, we're going to do this. So if they run into something that's blocking them, we want to hear about that as quickly as we can. All right, so why don't we move into our daily stand-up?
All right.
Turn it over
So team,
first.
let's go. Let's check in, do our check on progress towards our sprint goal.
Okay, I'll start. So I started out with creating a draft UI for the login screen, and in the background tried playing around with the web service that actually pulls out the campus ID, thereby referencing the other ancillary details like the name, the phone number, the address, etc. So I think for the time being, it is actually working, but I did encounter some challenges in terms of pushing past some of the information in the database. So I'll be working with Mark Twain from the other department to actually see if I can fit him. Go ahead.
No, Sudev, I think from the back end perspective, making sure that we have that student ID, making sure that we have the API mapped in terms of like our initial sprint. It's like, what are the essential key elements of the ID, and how does that really tie into our form of payment, and where does that really come from, and how do we get that system of record? We also think about it in terms of audit. If we have use case scenarios that come out and think, and we have these ideas about variations. So where if somebody was overpaid, they overpaid or underpaid, or the transaction didn't happen, we really need to know how this API is going to work in order to map that the student ID, form of payment, that kind of thing. And so from the database perspective, getting that up and running, and also leveraging, from the banking perspective, that tool that we have in order to validate payment. I think that's going to be essential just to kind of set that up, get the design, get that understanding of what we're doing for future sprints, and really kind of defining what that looks like in terms of development.
Absolutely. So currently I have no blockers because I will be working with Mark Twain from the said department to get more information that Trey just mentioned. So yeah, there we go. I'm good.
And for me, what I've done is I've taken the mappings. I've understood exactly what the foundational mappings need to be from a student ID, student name, and form of payment to be able to map that out. I think my next steps are essentially to draw that diagram of what the design needs to look like, and really kind of tee that up for the following sprint. So good gut feel, really confident about that, and be working with Sudev and the team to make sure that if I have any blockers, we're not waiting for the next meeting. I'm going to reach out quickly and see if we can kind of remove those blockers and work with Rob on and Bryan on anything we need to kind of get the direction from a product perspective.
All right, awesome. Yeah, let's circle back after our stand up, and let's huddle and see if there's anything that I can do to help you. And Sudev, anything I can help you with Mark Twain, if you have trouble contacting him, and Trey, any blockers that you have, anything that I can help you with.
Thanks, Rob.
All right. Looks like we're on track to meet our sprint goal.
Woohoo. Awesome. All right, so that was the daily stand-up. Now notice it was sort of short, light. It's really just checking in with one another, sharing information. Notice how Rob was on the lookout, listening for any blockers or issues, because those are the things that are going to prevent the team getting the work done. And we don't necessarily solve those in the daily scrum, because usually that's something that the people that are directly affected will take the time to kind of work on, so we can let the team kind of do their updates. And then we offline any of those follow-up activities like reaching out to Mark Twain or gathering some additional test data, whatever it might be. All right. Now we're going to fast forward a little bit. Remember, we talked about the sprint as sort of the fixed duration. That's 2 weeks in this example. So we started planning. We got a flavor of what a daily stand-up looks like. We repeat that every day through the sprint. Now we're coming up for the grand finale, our sprint review. So this is a time in which we're going to showcase what has been completed, and we're going to show it to the people that have asked for it, our stakeholders, our customers. And this is an opportunity for them to give us some feedback and say, yep, that's exactly what I wanted, but or asked for it, but maybe not what I need. So we can make some adjustments if necessary, or to say, yeah, that's fantastic. We're ready to move forward. Now, a few things we want to emphasize here. Again, this is going to be a little different, maybe some other project delivery frameworks you're familiar with, but we don't show work that's not really finished. We're really focused on that binary. It's either done or it's not done. If it's not done, it means we're not ready to share with you. But we do want to really focus on finished work because we want to create that sort of way of working in which we're really focusing on getting things done. So with that, why don't we pivot into our sprint review?
All right. Welcome, everyone, to our sprint
Yeah.
review. Just as a reminder, our sprint goal was students can log in and view today's meal purchases. So let's have the team kind of share out. Let's see what we've accomplished, and I'll turn it over to Sudev.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Thank
You
you,
can
Rob.
move forward one more screen too. I think we'll show some examples here.
Excellent.
Okay.
So, yeah, thank you, Rob. The good news is we connected the login screen to the student ID web service. So here is the live demo. I'm going to log in as a test student, and as and when I log in, the web service in the background does a bunch of authentication. And that authentication, when successful, literally shows confirmation that I have successfully logged in as that particular test student. So this is what it is.
Nice. So we can log in. Woohoo.
We can log in, right?
And using the campus ID too. That's awesome. You were a little concerned
Absolutely.
about that. So I'm really impressed that you were able to get that done.
Hence the reason why it's good news.
Yeah.
It actually worked.
That's always good news.
And I think, go ahead, sorry. Go ahead, please.
No, I'm good. Trey, it's up to you.
No, yeah. So essentially, from the campus ID, we're able to log in. We were finding the person that was able to make the order. We were able to provide the order in terms of the transaction. I think that we were able to provide the information back up to the UI that allowed the user to select food that was available. I think what we were actually probably missing was essentially the security piece. I think from the transaction perspective, we were able to make the transaction, but I think we probably, from a tech debt perspective, need to probably look a little bit more into our security model and to make sure that we're tight there. I think there's probably some more to investigate.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely kind of move that into perhaps a product backlog to look at a little bit more. So wasn't sure if I was able, we were able to meet that goal, but we're able to meet the transaction. Yeah.
Right.
Great.
Just to add to that, Trey. Just to add to what Trey just said, right? As part of phase 1 during this particular review, we started implementing some form of payment, right? Just to make sure that this MVP actually is working as expected. And right now, what's happening is students can actually look at the menu, can complete an A to Z checkout only using meal vouchers. Now, keep in mind, meal vouchers are also another form of payment that that is used very much predominantly in campuses. So we've used that. Now, credit card and meal plan integrations aren't live yet, but that is probably after this, as part of our next sprint or the following sprint, it'll be one of our backlog items that we will be focusing on, if that makes sense.
Interesting. Okay. So that, I mean, still good news though. They can use their
Yes,
meal plan,
absolutely.
buy something. So we still have the full life cycle, but weren't able to get the credit card transaction processes complete.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, and that's great. I mean, I think this is a good place to start. I'm just eager to get people using this, so I'm excited about the opportunity now, letting them know that they can start, trying out Quick Eats. If we can add in those other forms of payment, yeah, that's something we can do going forward. So, sounds like we've made good progress. Maybe not quite all the way there, but that's a pretty darn good start. Well done.
Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Great collaboration, team. Thank you for the feedback. We'll take that feedback, incorporate that into our product backlog, the ideas into the next sprint, and we will progress forward.
Yeah, and by the way, I forgot to mention too, Rob and team, I did get some feedback from one of our customers, and apparently there's a lot of interest in finding different ways to filter meals by dietary restrictions or different, preferences. So I've added that to the backlog, and I think we're going to move that up. So maybe in our next planning session, we can talk a little bit about what it would take to implement that.
Understood.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
All right, so that was our review. And so a couple things to highlight there. Now, of course, this wasn't, as robust as you might expect if you're working with a real existing product, but you really want to emphasize showing something. Think of it as a show and tell. You heard each member of the team talking about what they worked on. So we want to give them a place to kind of share and get some acknowledgement for the hard work that went into getting these work items completed. Notice too, we didn't get everything done. Okay, well, there was a gap. That's going to happen. I think I saw someone post a question in the chat saying, what happens if a story doesn't get completed in a sprint? Well, the short answer is you say, we're going to do it in the next sprint. It's going to happen. There's going to be things that just maybe surprise you. They're a little harder than you expected and have all the information you needed, whatever the reasons. So it's not always possible for the teams to complete everything that they committed to, but they should be working and holding themselves accountable to the commitments that they made. And you'll just manage that as you progress. And that's that whole inspect and adapt mantra that you heard. So yeah, so great session. And at that point, you've got feedback from your customers. They're feeling confident. They're seeing progress. There's a lot of good reasons to use the review to share with everyone how things are progressing. All right, and I think we're going to do the review, the retrospective, Swetha.
Yeah, so let's. Oh, we lost her.
I think she's probably getting a few of these things set up here. So now that we've finished the sprint, we're going to do this retrospective. And remember, we talked about how important continuous improvement is in the Agile delivery model. So the retrospective is an opportunity for the team to get together and just check in with themselves on what's working, and let's keep doing the things that are working well. What are some things that we think we could do better? And let's talk about how we can make those improvements. So this is when our Scrum Master steps in. So over to you, Rob.
Sounds good. All right, team. So let's start with talking about what do we think went well this sprint.
Can I go first?
Sure.
All right. During our initial sprint planning, I was under the impression that the integration with the student ID for login purposes may be challenging, but in retrospect, it went smoothly. And the reason for that is, we early on in the development worked very well with the designer and the architect. So that gave me more information in terms of how to go about doing it right first, So yeah, so that went really well.
Thanks, Sudev.
I think on the back end side, setting up the student ID and making sure that we had that database transaction and the security piece, I think we were able to carve out kind of an MVP. I think that went really well. I think our design was on point, but I think really trying to communicate, kind of our future state to our customers in terms of either a roadmap or in really kind of involving folks from the security team and others to make sure that we have kind of buy-in is going to be really, really important. So we probably want to start thinking about pulling some different folks in to make sure that we're hitting our hitting the goals that make this one a safe implementation in terms of security, and then one that we can actually meet the need of the student and getting that variety of a meal out.
Thank you, Trey. And just as a reminder, so one of the things we want to make sure we do, guys, when with the things that we've done well, is we certainly want to celebrate those, and we want to continue to reinforce those things, right? And remind ourselves kind of, if something kind of turned out much better than we thought, how can we ensure that we continue to do that going forward and capture that? So great conversation. So now let's kind of shift a little bit and let's talk about maybe what didn't go so well, or what can we improve going forward?
I think from my perspective is continue to communicate any of the security concerns that we have, and even though that may seem like technical debt, I think sometimes we go and think about what we need to do before we do it, and to go slow to go fast kind of thing. But I think at the end of the day, it's good that we get our customers satisfied, but we need to balance that with a solid solution in terms of how we approach the technology piece. So yeah.
All right. So for me, the credit card payment user story was more complicated than I anticipated it to be. Sort of, which basically translated to the fact that there was more API documentation that was involved in the process, and hence the reason why I could not complete that user story this sprint. Now, the not so good news is, yes, I'm still not really sure the best way to build this API, because there's a lot of unknowns that we may have to discuss as a team to actually straighten out. So that's something that we may have to break down that user story into more simpler, manageable ones, and some of them we may have to sort of distribute it among the various sprints, if that makes sense. So that may be a story that goes beyond a singular sprint. Just putting
And
it
that's a great lead in, Sudev, because I think when we start talking about our kind of how we estimate and how we understand where we're going with this, I think we're going to need to go back when we decompose our epic to feature to product backlog item. I think we're going to have to think about what it is when we start t-shirt sizing and understanding how we approach this moving forward. I think we need to make some adjustments in terms of how we do that.
I agree. And just to add to that, right? I mean, at least when I was developing the payment pilot using meal vouchers, I just realized that we didn't have enough test data to actually test the process. And obviously, random data only gives you so much of a results, right? So at least in the next round, albeit it did create a little bit of stress towards the end of the sprint, but at least my lessons learned, or my takeaway, was to make sure that we have our test data properly squared away. That way, post unit testing, we can actually do an appropriate functional testing and get ready for UAT within that sprint.
That's right. And if we don't do that, Sudev, I think we probably have to push things into the next sprint if we need to,
Yeah.
in order to get that alignment with our customer.
So it sounds like we've got a couple of improvements here. One is, Trey, to continue to communicate security concerns, right? Balance that with our customer satisfaction, but ensure that we're focused on that. And then Sudev, obviously, building a spike, breaking things down a little bit, and spreading that over multiple sprints, and then of course, getting that test data created in advance, right? And so this way we have a better opportunity for success, and it doesn't kind of slow us down. Anything else that I missed?
No, I think just the spike that you mentioned, Rob, in certain areas, we probably want to focus on those to kind of like get some of the security items proved out, and to be able to kind of focus in on those things. So great feedback on that.
Yeah, great feedback on creating a bunch of spike stories for us to work next sprint. Thanks, Rob. That makes sense.
Awesome.
Sounds like we have a plan.
So I think you guys did a great job on the retro there. So a couple things to highlight there. We got the whole team involved, right? Really important that everyone feels sort of safe and confident. They can express themselves. You heard Rob talk about it. It's great to hear the things that went well. We want to continue to do those, but let's also dig a bit deeper and ask some questions about things that can be improved. So that was a good place to kind of hopefully make the next sprint even more impactful, particularly gathering more test data, kind of a common challenge many projects and products face. And that wraps up your sprint. So at this point, we've kind of seen the four kind of quasi five ceremonies. We did the planning, a little bit of conversation about what was in that backlog. So kind of like refinement. Then we did our daily stand-up, we did our review, and we did our retro. So what are some key takeaways? Well, the first is you notice that Rob wasn't making decisions on behalf of the team, right? He was asking probing questions, and he was checking in with people, and he was making sure everyone was participating and engaged. So really, the Scrum Master acts as that facilitator, that servant leader. They are there to coach and support the team, to protect the team, particularly if there's blockers, issues that are preventing them from getting work done. And those are things that the Scrum Master is really going to ensure that they're keeping an eye on. We want to build confidence with our stakeholders, and a great way to do that is through the reviews. That's a place where they actually get to see working product, not a PowerPoint that says we're 80% done and everything's green. They're going to actually see something working. They can give you some feedback on that. And then ultimately, we really want to be as transparent as possible. There are going to be times when things just don't get done the way we anticipated or expected at the start of the sprint. That's okay. We just want to show progress, and we want to inspect and adapt, make those adjustments as we learn and we progress. So there you go. That was sort of the whole life cycle of Scrum in 45 minutes here. So Swetha, you ready to take the reins again?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, thank you so much, Brian, and also to the entire team for giving such a wonderful walkthrough of Scrum ceremonies. I'm sure everyone has got a clear sense of what these ceremonies are and also how they actually feel in real world practice. It was really wonderful and exciting to see the whole process. So this actually also leads to the next question on how do I become a Scrum Master and how does that path really look like? Brian, it would be good if you could also add some points here on how they can become a Scrum Master.
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, it's going to start with learning about Agile and the Scrum fundamentals. Good news is it's pretty accessible. It's that 13-page Scrum guide that I mentioned, but we'll also want to strengthen that with an understanding of things like Agile values, the principles that support them as we complement that with the Scrum process and lifecycle. Enrolling in CSM training is sort of a necessary next step. You do need a certain number of training hours in order to take that certified Scrum Master certification. And many of those courses are going to have some of these types of experiences, lots of interactive role-playing games and looking at some case studies, etc. And then once you finish the training, it's then prepping for the exam. A good way to do that is take lots of practice exams until you're feeling pretty confident that you can complete the real deal when you're ready. And then once you've got that, then it's a question of maintaining it. There are for the Scrum certification in particular, you'll need to maintain your Scrum education units every 2 years. So you just have to demonstrate you're continuing to invest in yourself and learning about Agile Scrum topics, and you submit those to kind of maintain your certification. And then in addition, you get access to a lot of other services and products that the Scrum Alliance provides. So it's a really good investment to make. And that's really all there is to it.
Yes, absolutely. And also now that we know how to become a Scrum Master, I'm sure everyone also wants to know about career growth in this field. And also, it would be great if you could share your perspective on how this certification can help learners pivot into Scrum Master's role, and also the kind of opportunities that might open up for them if they complete the certification.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great question. I'm sure it's on the top of everyone's mind. The good news is there is lots of job growth potential for Scrum Masters. Organizations, as we saw earlier, are really kind of recognizing the value of Agile and Scrum practices, and many of them are sort of reorienting themselves around products, and you're leveraging Agile teams with Scrum Masters to deliver those products in their projects. So you can see 65% of organizations are working with Scrum. That's coming from LinkedIn, so it's a pretty good source there. And a couple things about this. So one is getting your certification certainly creates the opportunity to get a Scrum Master role. Now, you might be in a place where maybe your organization hasn't quite made that decision that they want to pursue Scrum. Getting your Scrum Master certification, getting that context, getting some skills and sort of a better understanding of the why behind these techniques will allow you to kind of bring this into your organization. You might not be able to go full Scrum right out of the gates, but you could say, hey, why don't we do a daily stand-up? 15-minute check-in, here's some great techniques we can leverage. And once people get a little taste of this, it's pretty hard to resist not wanting more because it brings people together. You start this collaboration, this interaction. So even if you're not quite, ready to leap into a job as a well-defined Scrum Master, you can start bringing these ideas into your organization. Getting a certified Scrum Master is a great path to start doing that. You can create your own career opportunities that way, become a Scrum Master in your organization, or possibly find an organization looking for some of those credentials. And then in terms of where do you go from there, we did see a couple questions, people kind of probing a little bit, like what happens if you're on really big teams? Maybe you've got more than just this one uh, small dedicated team. You've got 3 or 4 working together. Well, yeah, absolutely. So you've got roles like a release train engineer, and that's a role that coordinates across a number of different Scrum teams. You might pivot into the product owner domain and get closer to customers and kind of prioritizing that backlog. You could become a project manager. There's still lots and lots of project management roles out there. So you might find that that's a space that you can move into as well. And ultimately, you can aspire to become what we all are, Agile coaches. Oh my gosh, what an exciting role to have. Yes, you too can be an Agile coach. Now, generally, that takes a little bit more time, but it is certainly a path that you can follow.
That's wonderful, and that was great perspective on how the certification can actually help anyone looking to transition. And that also brings me to a question that one of our audience has. So, do they have to take a professional exam before they can work as a Scrum Master? So that's the
Yeah,
question.
generally speaking, if you want to say you're a Scrum Master, you're going to have to point to the fact that you've got some kind of certificate. Now, there's different flavors out there. We're talking about the Certified Scrum Master, which is probably the most prominent of all the certifications, but the Project Management Institute has one as well. The Agile Certified Professional, the ACP, that's also a very strong candidate. You can look at scrum.org. They've got their own flavors of Scrum Master certifications. They all teach the same topics. There's different organizations that provide certification. But yes, if you want to say I'm a Scrum Master, you're probably going to need to demonstrate that you've got some credentials behind that. So definitely would encourage you to kind of take that path.
I'm sure that answers that question. So now that we've seen what the transition actually looks like, I think let's dig a little deeper into why enrolling for this certification makes sense. So I'll quickly take you through the program that we offer. There are a few strong reasons why Certified Scrum Master actually stands out as a certification, like Brian clearly mentioned. First, it gives you global recognition. So it is one of the most widely accepted and respected Agile certifications trusted by employers around the world. So it will open up a lot of opportunities for anyone who completes a certification. Second, we already spoke about career growth. So certified Scrum Masters, certified professionals, they often see faster promotions, higher salaries. So these are some of the benefits that you can gain from the certification. Apart from that, you will also get hands-on learning. So our classes are not just about theory. So there is a structured training process, and you will actually work and practice in real-world scenarios as well as a part of the program. And finally, it will also help you build confidence. So you will have a lot of knowledge and also hands-on experience, and you will be receiving feedback from our mentors as well. So it's a great opportunity for anyone considering this. You can also earn 20 PDUs and 16 SUs for professional development, which is a criteria while you write the exam as well. So enrolling for this certification is not just about the certificate. It can also open up a lot of career opportunities for all of you out there. And I think that's one of the main, these are a few reasons that we can clearly list out as to why you should consider this if you are interested in this field. So Brian, here I would actually like to ask you this question. So from your experience, what does having the certification actually, does it make a difference when employers are evaluating candidates or hiring? Does it actually play an
Oh,
important role?
yeah, unquestionably. I think if you are trying to get a role as a Scrum Master, prospective employers are going to absolutely look for your certifications. You can see myself, Rob, Sadev, Trey, we all have a long list of certifications that we have earned. And they're really important to kind of demonstrate to organizations that not only do you have these skills, but you've invested time, energy to get these certifications. So, yeah, if this is a path that you're interested in, I'm afraid the table stakes, the entry fee is a certification, so you've got to make that investment.
Right. So that really highlights the impact of the certification. So thank you, Brian. So I'll quickly move on to the next slide and talk about how Simplilearn can support you on this journey. So first, this program is designed in collaboration with leading industry experts and trainers. So which means that your skills are aligned with what employers are actually looking for. You can also see on the screen the certification that you might get, that you will get once you complete the certification, which you can definitely add to your portfolio on LinkedIn. It will also improve your credentials. So you can think about that. Like I mentioned earlier, there's hands-on learning. It's not just theory, practical exercises, case studies. These are everything that is covered in the program. Uh, Also, this program is for working professionals. So it is flexible, it is online, and also it will fit into your schedule. We have both weekday and weekend classes. So you can opt in as per your preferences. We are pretty flexible on that aspect. And you also have access to career support resources like mentorship and guidance by the team. So this can actually make a difference as you transition into Scrum roles. So it's not just about the learning experience, it's also about gaining that advantage and also getting a lot of feedback, connecting with peers. So these are some of the options that we do have. Brian, from your perspective, how does this hands-on learning, how is it important when compared to just theory? And how important is it in a field like this?
Yeah, no, that's also, I think, a really important question, particularly when you're evaluating different types of training providers. Things I really encourage you to look for is a model that Simplilearn really emphasizes, which is this idea of cohorts. They bring in groups of people at the same time, which kind of creates a little, sort of networked group of people that you can learn from, that you can stay connected with as their careers progress. You can be close to that and maybe discover there's other opportunities that might emerge. So really, really encourage you to look for organizations that have that emphasis and then bring people together. Simplilearn's done a fantastic job hiring trainers like myself. So we really put a lot of focus on making the sessions engaging, bringing real world experiences into your learning as well, because often that's kind of the differentiator. There's a lot that often comes in books, but it's also helpful to talk to people that have done it and see what little suggestions and ideas that they can share with you. So really look for that in any training provider that you're going to consider.
Right. And we also have a few questions. So I just wanted to let everyone know that we will take up all of these questions in the Q&A section that we have, where we'll come to in like a few minutes. So I'll just quickly take you through enrollment steps before that and tell you a little about the course that we offer. So the enrollment is pretty simple. All you have to do is fill out the application form. It's available in the program page. I can also share the link in the chat box, so you can all take a look at the program, what it offers. Will it add value to your career? You can think about all of that. And our admissions team will connect with you. I will actually launch a poll in some time. If you click on a yes, what happens is the team will be informed, and in case you have any questions regarding this course, or if you're just considering it, they will give you insights on it. They can share all the details with you as well. So once you're ready, you can complete your enrollment and also secure your spot in the upcoming batch. And it's a pretty quick and straightforward progress. So, and it's also very easy to begin with. So the next batch actually begins on 4th of October. Those are weekend classes, and we also have weekday classes coming up on the 6th of October. So these are coming up really soon. So you can definitely think about this as an option. And the fee for this Certified Scrum Master certification is $299. So it includes the training, study materials, live sessions with expert trainers, and of course, the exam voucher for your certification as well. So you can actually think of this as an investment into your career, right? The skills, credentials, and the career opportunities, like we discussed earlier, it can also give you a lot of career growth in a shorter span of time. And our team will definitely be there to help you throughout in case you have any kind of queries. So I will quickly launch a poll as well. You can express your interest in the poll. And once you express your interest, like I mentioned, our team will reach out to you and will share will share all of the insights and queries. And if you want the course link, I can quickly share that in the chat as well. So you can take a look at the course, what the course offers, and our team will be there to support you. And like Bryan, we have a lot of amazing trainers with us who will make this journey really exciting and enjoyable for all of you. So as you respond to the polls, I will quickly move on to the Q&A section. So we actually do have a few questions for Bryan. So yes. Okay, all right. So 1 second. Yeah, Bryan, actually, there's one question that we did not address, one that we put out on. So, what would be the place of a Scrum Master in this era of AI? I think this is a question a lot of people actually have.
That is a good question. Yeah, and in fact, someone did post that in the Q&A as well. I gave it a quick answer. But a few things to bring to attention. The first off, I think, is we're all aware AI is absolutely going to have an impact on many roles. However, and I often share this when I'm talking about project management, because a lot of people have the same question who are interested in kind of pursuing a project manager certification. A great deal of time that both project managers, in particular, Scrum Masters less so, spend on is within administrative activities. And I'm sure Sudev, Trey, Rob can all tell us how much time do we spend sending emails and updating Excel spreadsheets and status reports and things like that. AI is going to absolutely help take some of that work off our plates. And in return, it's going to create more opportunity for us to do the things that AI isn't very good at, which is that human to human interaction. Hey, having some conversations with the person about, hey, did you watch the game last night? How's the wife and the kids and the family going? How was your trip? Okay, building community, creating relationships. AI just isn't at a point that's going to do that very well. But I'm more than happy to get rid of a lot of the administrative activities. If I never have to fill out a status report again, I'd be quite delighted. So I can spend more time connecting with people and really understand what problems we're trying to solve. So AI is absolutely going to have an effect, but I think it's actually going to be quite positive. It's going to free us up to do the things that we're most interested in that create the most value.
Right. Okay. All right. So I think that clearly answered that question. So if anyone else has any more questions, please let us know in the chat box or in the Q&A box. I will quickly end this poll for expressing your interest. And then I will launch another poll for your participation certificates as well. Thank you all for actually staying to the end for this session. It was really, really nice to have all of you join us, share your thoughts, and also interact with us as well. So I am ending this poll right here. You can, in case you have missed out, you can still go to the course page and express your interest, and the team will reach out to you. I am launching the certificate poll right now. So if you please ensure that you, I hope you all received the poll. So for the certificate poll, please ensure that you mention your full name. You will be receiving your certification within 24 hours. Our team will send it out to you, and you will receive the recording and the slide deck for this session as well. So in the meantime, I would also like to take a moment to thank Bryan and our experts for joining us today. It's been a really wonderful and insightful session, and from the breakdown of Scrum ceremony step to step, and showing us how a day in the life of a Scrum Master really looks like. I think I really truly enjoyed the session, and I'm sure everyone else also did. So, Bryan, thank you once again for your time and expertise today, and thank you, team, for joining us. So, before we close, do you have any final thoughts or key takeaways that you would like to leave with our audience?
First off, I think the fact that as you've highlighted, if you made it all the way to the end here, that's a great signal that you are vested in this, you want to pursue this. So I say maintain the momentum, make that next move. This is an investment in yourself. We all have to give some thought at times. So what are we doing to kind of grow and develop and learn? So this is a great place to start. So just really encourage you to kind of keep moving forward. Don't take your foot off the gas. Turn this into reality. And I do want to say a big heartfelt thanks to Rob, Sudev, and Trey. They were gracious enough to let me pull them away in their Monday evenings here, interfering with our Monday night football too. I know Rob and Trey are my fantasy football league, so we're all closely watching the scores. But yeah, thanks. That was a lot of fun, guys. I really appreciate your time.
Pleasure.
Yes. I would also personally all of you for joining us. It has been such a great experience having you all join us today. It really made such a huge difference to us and also to everyone who attended this webinar. So I'm also going to end this poll for certificates right now. Like I mentioned, if you have missed out on expressing your interest and if you still want to enroll for the program, you can definitely check out the course link that I have shared in the chat. So once again, thank you all. Thanks to everyone who has joined the webinar on YouTube and also live with us on Zoom. So thank you all. It was great having you all here. Your participation was great. Thanks for engaging with us through the polls as well. And we really hope to see you in our upcoming webinars. And I wish you all have a wonderful evening ahead. So thank you all. As I hope to see you all soon.
All right, take care,
Thank you.
everyone.
Yeah,
Take
bye.
care. Bye.